everyone, I'm Lynn with Psychic Focus at psychicfocus.blogspot.com, and today I had a special request to do more on the topic of the coronavirus because this is a really serious topic that's out there and a lot of people are concerned about it. It's affecting a lot of different areas of life and most definitely on a lot of radars out there. So the question that was sent to me says, "Hi Lynn, the coronavirus has been in the news recently as China appears to be devastated by it. They have quarantined half their population, so one would presume that this is very serious. Can you see what will happen to China? How long will it take to bring it under control, and what effect is it going to have on their economy? How many have died or are dying there? What will happen in the U.S. and other countries? Many people are saying that thousands of people are already infected here. What effects will it have on the U.S. and should people here take some measure to prepare for a quarantine such as they have in China?" So I wanted to break this down and think about each different part, think about different sections of what is really going on with this. And I completely agree. It's become very serious in China, and there is a lot of mixed energy when I focus in on this. It looks as though China is in a pivotal point where many different timelines and events could play out, but I feel the following are the most probable. To be honest, in one situation I saw where people, they decide that China's not really their friend and China's not really trying to help them out, and there's a revolt, but more than likely that is not going to happen. So I'll go with the things that felt and that I saw looked to be the most probable. So number one, the people look like they become even more submissive. This current leadership, these rulers, it looks as though they are using their influence and fear to the point where people almost feel like it's their mandatory duty, like it's an honor to their country to just follow the directions and do what they're told. If they say stay in your house, then stay in your house. If they say only come out, certain days or get this passed, people look as though they're fairly compliant because they're doing the right thing. They're in the greater good. It also looks as though the government steps in to some degree, and the people see this as being caring and providing assistance. But it's just the illusion that the government is going to protect the people, but it's really just reinforcing their loyalty out of fear. It also looks as though people that do need medical intervention may not be getting it because they are being forced to be quarantined. It also looks as though this will die out because of the quarantining efforts and keeping people segmented away, but in the process people that maybe could be helped aren't necessarily being helped because they're not allowed out and there's just not enough resources over there to be able to do what needs to be done. I also got that the government, they're actually really fearful of what is going on. They may have a strong front, but they're scared. They realize that powers that are higher than them and this bio attack can pretty much paralyze a company, or not a company, but a country in an instant, as this manufactured weapon, I guess I would call it, was spread, because there's nothing that feels organic about anything that's happening. China sees it and they realize it, and this is a really big wake-up call for them. They know what happened. They're furious that it was done on their own soil, and it's almost like this current leadership's taking their fear and frustration out on the people by controlling their actions. So it's like the government can't control what happened to them, but they can misdirect and redirect their need for control onto other people. I also hear that it's some kind of like a transferred anger. If anybody's ever read about psychology, it's like they're taking their feelings and then putting them on something or a group of people that really aren't to fault or blame. And I saw that the government, they're doing what they can to try to retain their power. The economy of China is going to be severely impacted, and I saw places like Walmart, they're going to need to find alternative means to get their goods, or they're going to risk losing customers to companies that don't rely so heavily on China. I also saw that companies with factories in China, they're going to be hurt as this manufacturing slows down. And China, they will regain some of their buyers when they're able to start producing products and get back to work. But I also saw a trend where companies are going to start to consider to diversify their manufacturing process and supply chains to places other than China, because they realize how volatile it is to put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. So I definitely see this impacting China both now in the short term and in the long term, as companies reevaluate how they want to handle their manufacturing to maintain consistency, and also to have contingency plans. I saw that mandatory vaccines are going to be administered and become part of the social score that they do in China. And China's, they practice a lot of Eastern medicine there. They have a lot of alternative options that they use that are effective for them. But I saw this being compromised, almost like they're going to say, hey, you might do this, but you're going to get this vaccine. If you plan on traveling or plan on doing anything, you have to do X, Y, Z in order to earn it. So I see that being something that is going to be very much a hot topic in China. I also got that people that have been cleared, they're going to start to utilize these ghost cities that they've been popping up and they've built everywhere. They're going to segment the population off even more so than it is now. I got that China, it's going to be in a state of concern for several more weeks now, and it might last until early March before they feel that they have a really good control of the situation. I do get that hundreds are dying each day from this, but here's the thing I want people to keep in perspective. Like 50 to 60,000 people die each year from the flu alone, just in the United States. So even though this illness might kill between, I got 25 and 30,000 this year, I don't want people to be in this just absolute fear and terror, because when you put things into realistic terms, heart disease or, issues with being diabetic, whatever it may be, there's things out there that have very high rates of death and people die from every year. So even though this is very tragic, when you put it in the big perspective and look at what people are inflicted with and what people die from, I mean, there's other things out there that are even more serious than this. Not to take any seriousness away from what's going on, but you have to look at everything from a wider perspective. This is a real illness, and it's something that you want to protect yourself against. You want to try to avoid it, but there is this extreme fear being put out there, and that fear is being used to control people and see how much they can actually control people with this. I also got that there is a case, and have been cases of the virus in the US, but it does feel fairly contained. So be cautious, just practice good sanitary habits. Wash your hands. Be mindful what you're doing. Don't touch your face. If you're in public, wash your hands. Try not to get right up on people. Keep a good personal safe distance. Again, not to be paranoid, but just use good common sense when you're out. You don't have to be scared to be out. Just be mindful. I cannot see that the U.S. is going to go as far as China in regards to quarantining people, and they may section off small groups, but I don't see whole cities or towns being controlled the way that they're doing in China right now. I do see the U.S. stopping any spread before it gets too big. There is going to be a huge push for vaccines with a main focus on school-age kids. That is the thing that's going to really impact the U.S., and people are going to, there's already people out there trying to fight against all the immunizations they give to begin with, but this is going to be one of those ones, just like the bird flu or the H1N1. Like, this is going to be even more extreme than that, trying to force their will on people. So that's the big thing to be prepared for here in the U.S. And that was really all I had on this reading. Again, and I've said it before, send some love and light and positive vibes to China. This has just been very devastating to the people that live there, to have to live through this and be, have this fear constantly pushed on them. It's a lot. So any positivity, I'm sure, is greatly appreciated in that direction. That was really all I had for this reading. Please feel free to leave a comment, like me, share me, all those great things. It helps me out a lot. I'm so grateful for each of you that support the blog and pass the word on. So I want to say thanks for that as well. And again, I'm Lynn with Psychic Focus at psychicfocus.blogspot.com. Thank you. Bye.